Whoa, it's Wulzy and welcome back to Geometry Dash. Everyone loves a nice tier list. So, I have had a stroke of genius. I'm going to be going down the featured page all the way down to the bottom and ranking all of these S to F, S being the best and F being the lowest. Now, obviously I've played some of these before, but I'm going to be going through in full, and we're just going to get straight into it. The first level is Haze and Blaze by Unzor, using How to Adventure by Dunder Patrollen. Cool beginning. I really like this transition into the cube, and I think these colours are great. It's a classic Unzor style. Some decent changes right here. The gameplay is also very good. Unzor has very sight-readable gameplay, while also being fairly synced, and actually good looking too. It's hard to make gameplay good looking sometimes, but I think Unzor does it very well with different structure types. Nice sync in the background, by the way, with those big pillar things moving to the beats. Unzor does easings very well, and there's a boss fight right here. I think this boss fight fits into the level pretty well, although there aren't too many attacks. I think it still fills up that part of the level very well. Oh dear. And I think this part builds up the end very nicely as you're constantly flying up. It's a little bit difficult to tell where some objects at the top are sometimes due to how the portals are arranged when you're flying up and up and up. You got to go through multiple portals. There's also a nice custom game mode right here where you're floating towards the end. Really cool. I like how those glitch effects are built in at the beginning and the end too. Does kind of go in with the retro sounding song. Also makes the level come back around full circle. There are also a few animated assets in the level, whether they be custom made or not. This is just using laser beams right here. But the beginning part had animated edges of the blocks, which is always nice to see. Very nice waterfall style blocks right here with custom layers. I like that too. Now this level does often have quite big open spaces where there aren't structures, and there's a lack of foreground deco to fill these in at times. Like right here, there's big spaces at the top and bottom that aren't filled in very effectively, and that ship transition too. It's a little bit inconsistently covered by structures. It's not too detrimental to the level's aesthetic, but I think it's something that just takes that S away from it. Because obviously this level's really smooth, and there's not much wrong with it apart from that. So I do think this warrants an A. I really like how it feels floaty when the song kind of takes a turn. Boom, we dead, but we actually alive. Glitch, there you go, that's what I was saying with it coming full circle. You've got kind of the Game Boy screen right there. Very nice. One attempt, 7 stars. Don't quite know how I died at 55 before. Alright, before I get dissed by anyone, I am using Paint to do this because I couldn't figure out how Tier Maker worked. We're going to put Haze and Blaze by Unzor at A. That is a solid start. Obviously, it is first page featured first place, so that was kind of expected that it was going to be a high quality level. Enigma by Kitty Doge. I haven't really played this one too much, but I've seen it a lot on YouTube. It's got a lot of praise. I'm going to get into it myself. Alright, so this level is named after the song Creo Enigma. It's a very fancy level with lots of detail, lots of light and dark areas, and some custom icons right here. As you can see, I'm a blob with legs, then I transform into a little helicopter blade thing that resembles the ship. It's pretty cool, but when you're so used to looking slightly ahead of the icon and using your peripheral vision to tell what it is, it's very difficult to actually distinguish what mode you're in straight away. Especially with all the custom orbs and assets found in the level. Not a single thing is just a regular game object, so it's a little bit difficult to sight read. Also, while there are a lot of different tones of the same colour, I feel like the colour management could have been a lot more effective. I feel like the dark areas contrast way too much to the light areas, like the black overlays just kind of obstruct the whole vision. When they're supposed to add a little touch, they're not supposed to, you know, disrupt the entire gameplay. And then this part is just insane. There's so much movement and pulses. I like it, but it's super difficult to process what's going on, as I said. The gameplay is very irregular too. There are times where you would expect to just keep jumping, but you actually gotta wait a little bit. This level has some crazy cool assets, but there are just certain things that hold it back, such as the default saws at the end with just block color, how clustered it all feels. The animations are very smooth, they're very clean. I like it. I'm gonna put Enigma by Kitty Doge in the B tier, because while it's very original, I still think there are certain things that irk me too much to be able to put it in A. Alright, we got Critical Effect by Spoofy. This was first place feature for a very, very long time. over 500,000 downloads. I am actually a fan of Spoofy's style. I really like the movements, the colours. It feels very joyful. There's a lot of energy in it too, as you can see in these fast speed movements right here with these dash orbs. There's a lot of visuals to represent that best. It's not just a speed change without anything else added to it. There's always something changing in the aesthetic, whether it be the colours or the movements or the white in the blocks or anything. There's just so many pulses that keeps this fresh, alive, and just really dynamic overall. I'm a fan of all these effects and animations that are going on. Maybe not so much of this black screen, but it's kind of redeemed by that fake ending, because I did actually get tripped out by that the first time I played it. I think there's a lot of white space as well that could be filled by something, because when there's so many effects, it kind of contrasts to this really pasty white screen, especially at the end here. There aren't many visual drawbacks of this level. It follows a set theme of like a retro, glitchy, upbeat sort of vibe, but this background is kind of basic, and that applies for many other backgrounds in the level in my opinion, but it's kind of redeemed by the fact that it flips on the beats. And I'm a fan of this open world feeling that you get from this part, as there's no set ground spikes and you're often moving up and down, and this is very well done by the circle that follows you all the way through. There's just not much middle ground deco. I understand that it's a modern level and it is kind of meant to be kept a little bit minimalistic, but it's very noticeable when there's no detail on the screen compared to the very clustered effects that are going on with multiple transitions going on at once right here. I think it's an A. I think it's a very solid level. And here it comes, Critical Effect by Spoofy. It's going to go right next to Haze and Blaze by Unzor in the A tab. Alright, here is a level that I have not seen yet. The Deep by Zale using Cute Ness by Anderson187, who makes very happy, chill, upbeat music. Ooh, I really like the theme of this so far. It goes hand in hand with the song. Got animated assets like the arrows and the circles. Everything applies to this one theme, which is super nice to see. Alright, we've got a change of scenery right here. Crab, I like that. I really like this so far. There's not much that's moving, but I understand that it's a pixel level, and obviously that's very difficult to implement, especially when all the animations have 0 move time. Saw that they were moving waves right there, but I feel like they could be a bit more exaggerated. The color schemes in each part are very well done, I think. Oh, I don't know what I just did with the gameplay there, but that was cool. That's really cool that you get ink splat too, just like a blooper in Mario Kart. Ooh, that gameplay was a little bit unclear to me. The change in block color right here threw me off. I was expecting the lighter area to be not a block. I don't know if that was English or not. There are a few concepts like the levers and the buttons that I had to click right there that I didn't understand at first. And that ending, please don't say that's the ending. Oh, it is, but it's kind of redeemed by another animation, an arcade style animation. I like that. I really like the progression in this level. You're moving through multiple different areas. It's not just focused on one theme. Although it does revolve around water quite a bit. It's not that difficult to read now that I'm playing it again, because I know what everything is. This is actually really fun to play. My goodness. I feel like the ending's very weak. My favourite part is still the... wow. My favourite part is still the beginning, because I really like how the colours are distributed. There's a couple of confusing assets, like the buttons that you use for the teleporter and the levers that unlock the level, but they're not actually that bad and they're very creative. In the meantime, I just feel like the ending is what takes away from this level, because it feels a little bit rushed. I felt like it could have went one extra little step to become an A tier, which is why I'm going to put it in B. I do really appreciate the theme in this level. I feel like it could have been taken a little bit further. It did have some very good ideas with the squids and the bloopers like in Mario. Alright, we got Vacuum by Hollow Earth using Creo Black Ice. The featured page is using a lot of Creo at the moment. Ooh, this is vibey. I really like the vibes that the song's given off, as well as the glow in this. The glow is very aesthetically pleasing. The level feels very wobbly. I like that from Hollow Earth, although it is a little bit empty at times with the very blank background. This custom background doesn't fill in much of the screen, and it's also using a very generic glow movement in the middle right there, but I really like this movement, how everything's moving back and forth. It gives a sort of topply, wobbly feel. As always from Hollow Earth, it's a very clean level. I really like what he's going for, but there's not much to make it stand out, because this wobbly thing is kind of getting a bit repetitive going into the end, and the backgrounds are all very basic. and they're all following the same format with different objects. You've got some sort of pillar-like background with lots of empty spaces. Then you've also got some sort of glow effect on top, just to make all the transparent elements stand out. I feel like this level could do with another effect as well as this, to keep it fresh, keep it entertaining. For example, there's a lot of these shapes on the edges of the blocks, the octagons. Maybe they could twinkle. I don't know, something to make a change in the level's brightness. Because every part does feel the same, with the same repetitive background and glow format. But this level kinda does remind me of Optical. Bringing in one new concept and sticking with it for the whole level, thinking of different ways to use it. I just wish it took certain things a little bit further, which is why I'm going to put it C tier. Bang! There you have the C tier. We got Rotate by I Lunaire using Digital Thoughts by Lorne Reality. This is very clean so far. I'm liking the colour depth. You've got lots of different tones of the same colour, and it's not overbearing how it's done. It's very subtly eased in with lots of glow. Very nice, mysterious vibe created with the black overlay at the sides. It's got a lot of layers to it. It's got quite nice depth too, and each part is made up of multiple different assets for the blocks. Although it does look a little bit clustered at times when there's a lot of blocks in one area. I do like the structuring in this. It's very original. It's not just filled up by saws. It's not just filled up by pillars. You got different slopes. You got different borders. It's not made to be flat. It's made to be quite original in its shape. I'm not sure why you need to get this toggle at the beginning, because it does just feel like a regular wave. It doesn't feel like it should be any different. And a lot of the designs are very basic too, and the backgrounds, they're just filled up with diamonds. The only thing that's setting it apart is this glow in the background, and also this little overlay that comes up, which is pretty original, but it just doesn't really take it very far, and it does end quite abruptly. There are a few effects attempted, but they're not very climactic. They're all just very basic. I don't know, it's quite a smooth level, but it feels like it's lacking in the designs and the saws a little bit. I don't know, the structures just feel very spammed. The way that the glow's aligned, it doesn't really match the blocks. And there's big long transitions like this that are just made up of one block that kind of throws me off. But it is pretty clean, I'll give it that. Now this is built to not have any 90-degree angles. I don't know whether to put this in B or C. The limitations it's built in are very good and not noticeable. But the level doesn't really go anywhere and there's long transitions, so I really don't know. It has really good atmosphere. I appreciate the limitations it's built under, but I still think it's a C tier. Ah dear. The servers are down. Oh! Yes! The servers are back. Let's go. Let's go into the level that I was trying to get into. Yo, this has so many colours. This is epic. Nice sync too. I guess you gotta hit these buttons, because they must be numbered for a reason, right? Nice sync. This is very colourful. Kind of a lack of deco in some places. The background and the blocks are very clustered, but it's not really matched in the middle ground. Is this a remake of Puma Dash? It feels a lot like an Izhar level. You've got lots of colour. You've got a very friendly level. Nice mix up in the style right here. Fun gameplay too, but there are big open spaces like that I mentioned with the other level. Long transition parts. And I feel like there should be more detail in the middle ground. But I appreciate the colours, the glow, the depth that this level has. It is very recognisably a remake of an Izhar level, which is also its limitation, I'd imagine. It's probably for Izhar's creator contest, yep. So we'll just go in and try and beat this. I really like how animated and lively this feels. There's lots of pulses, there's lots of movements, there's so many colours on the screen at once. I lagged. This level may be a remake of Puma Dash by Izhar, but I still think it's very original. I've never quite seen colour distribution like this. This colour management is insane, especially in this part. I like how original it is, although every part might not look great like this part where there's lots of blocks surrounding you. It kinda emphasizes that there's no detail in the middle there, but I still think it's quite good. It's also very fun to play, even though the game mode might not be the most creative. Still feels very polished overall, even though there's big transitions. I'm not going to bother completing this right now, but it's very fun, very good looking. I would say this is a B tier, because it is a little bit messy at times, and it also does lack detail at times. The transitions weren't great, but I think everything else was pretty polished, that being the pulses, the movements, and also the game mode animations. Come on, servers, pull through! We live another day. I thought the server was going to die. Another dash by Danger Cat. Here we go. Is this another remake of Puma Dash? This also has insane colours, and it looks like it's going to have another game mode. Oh my goodness, these colours are also insane. This doesn't feel as polished as the previous level, because the ground spikes feel a little bit too similar to the blocks. The other level had much more distinguished elements within the blocks, and this just relies on one big block to cover the bottom. I do still really like the colours on this though. They're not as effectively arranged as the other one. This part looks a lot better because there's a lot more bright areas and you can see the edges of blocks a lot more clearly. How is this going to change? The transitions are kind of empty, but the gameplay's been fun so far, the colours have been good so far. That transition was quite long, and I don't really know what this is. This is probably a reference to a cartoon or some sort of game that I'm not recognising. But I still think this is a decent quality level. I just don't know how I feel about this level. There's a lot of weird assets, and there's a lot of weird block placements and colour management that kind of throws me off, but there's also some very good looking parts. It's not very consistent in that respect, but this pulsing glow effect is pretty cool, I gotta give it that. I just feel like it's super messy with like random city blocks in the background, and there's a lot of movement in the background but not so much movement on the foreground, or decoration for that matter. This has a few arrows here and there, but the decoration that's there is really clashing with what else is on the screen, which is why I'm going to give this a C. Here you go, Danger Cat, you are getting a C. These rows aren't in order, by the way. I'm not going to order these rows. If it's in C tier, it's in C tier. It's not really a high C or a low C. It's just in there with the bunch. Galactic Brain by Snarlax523 using Exploring Space by Mafia Pineapple. This is very clean so far. Some of the blocks are kind of empty. The designs aren't too advanced, but they're made to be good looking through lots of different colours. White and black eased in with low opacity colour. I like that. Kind of giving me Rafer vibes at times, just the way everything's moving. There's a mix of open space and clustered space. Don't know why that dash orb didn't just boost me up. But I think this is a decent design level. There's not really much to it, unless this drop proves me wrong. Ooh, it still feels the same as the rest, and there's just a brain boss in the middle of nowhere. I've just accidentally skipped. Are you serious? The boss fight was kind of underwhelming, and I do feel like it could have been built into the level a lot more. It doesn't really fit into a design level like this to just come in out of nowhere like that. Oh, it's back again. But yeah, there's not really much to this. There's a lot of pulses and movements, but the style doesn't really change, apart from that middle transition that I really liked. I feel like some of the opacities could be tweaked slightly, like the black clouds, the black glow, and the orbs, just to make it a bit more clean. The gameplay is actually pretty good. I'm enjoying playing this, but the visuals don't really live up, especially this part, how some of the bricks are just the exact same colours that outline. They're very bright and they go against the darker base. I don't know how to feel about that. I feel like this level has potential to be really clean, but it doesn't really take that potential, and it just leaves it to kind of an uninspired level with just a random brain boss fight in the middle that's kind of messy at times. I'm afraid I'm going to give this one a D. Last but not least, we have Spatial by Agils, using Space Family, which is kind of merged to make the title. I see that. Vibey beginning. Don't know how to feel about it. It was kind of underwhelming, but this part looks pretty cool. You've got a good mix of light and dark. You've got lots of coloured detail in the blocks. This style completely goes against it, however. I was expecting a little bit less glow in that part. It's got some nice ideas with the moving particles. Wow, I didn't even see that. But it keeps swapping between styles. While each part individually looks decent, the level as a whole is kinda conflicted as to whether it wants to be a design or an effect level. While the background and the block design is very simple and basic, they do go hand in hand because of the glow usage. It creates light and dark areas at the same time while they're eased. But again, it's contrasting to this style. This style uses multiple different sets of decorations, while the previous only used one kind of arrow for the foreground decoration. It kind of throws me off about this level as a whole. That transition was also kind of weak, it looked a little bit copy-pasted to me. But these designs are actually pretty slick. They're not as basic as the others found elsewhere, But I do appreciate some of these parts in the level, although they are a little bit empty in between the blocks and they could have a little bit more connectivity towards the rest of the parts in the level. There are a few random parts like the beginning that just seem to fill up the level instead of actually making it go somewhere. This part kind of throws me off a little bit because the saws have really thick outlines on the edges that don't match the outlines on the edges of the blocks or anything else in the level, to be honest. They kind of stick out like a sore thumb in the middle of it all. Especially since this part uses very dark blocks with dark bases, and these saws are very dark. I don't know, it just feels very all over the place, and there's lots of portal spam that doesn't really help the situation either. Yeah, it just looks very copy-pasted right there with blank saws, blank ground spikes. The transitions aren't the cleanest. I have come to the conclusion that this level is also going to get a D. It's not awful. It could just have a couple more details that sets it apart, a bit more consistency in the design, a bit more theming. Because the way it is at the moment, it just feels totally unstructured, feels very forced as a level. When if there was a little bit more themed decoration to go with it, it could actually string the parts together, add a bit more of that connectivity that I was talking about. But that brings us to the end of this Geometry Dash episode. Here is the result of the tier list. We didn't get any S's and we didn't get any E's and F's. But I think I've done a decent job grading this. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. I'll try to read as many as possible. Thank you for watching and have a good day.